Hi, hello. Welcome to this video. The Happy Meal journey continues. I love creating DIY postcards, which is just my name for handmade postcards. In today's video, I'm going to do a little bit of collage, but mostly a lot of decoupage, and I will talk about substrates and how to prep them quite a bit. So that's what today's video is about. In my most recent video, posted just a few days ago, I created a very green collage. If you missed the video, you can go back and I will also link it below so that you can follow along in my postcard series. I don't know how many postcard videos I will be able to make before June is here and the postcard swap closes, because this is not really what I usually do. I usually work in a series and do lots of the same kind of postcards. But this time I'm doing a little bit of an experimentation on all of them. And I'm starting on a cut down cardstock piece that has animal prints on. I'm not really a fan of animal prints like I talked about in my previous video, but I'm also not a fan of throwing away any materials that I receive, so I like to use all of it. So what I'm doing here is using some gesso to cover up most of the animal print. Gesso, in case you don't know it, is an acrylic primer that is used to give your surface a little bit of tooth, so that the acrylic paint are sure to grab onto it and stay down. So if you have a glossy cardstock like this is, it is perfect to use gesso to prime or prep your surface. This works if you have a cereal box and you want to paint on the glossy side. Otherwise, you can of course paint on the inside of the box, the uncoated side. This cardstock that I have with all of the animal prints is double-sided, but I'm not worried about the back side yet. I will adhere a printable back side. I have it downloadable for free on my blog in case you want to check it out. But in the meantime, I brought out my zebra postcard, and I'm not a fan of this print either, so we're gonna cover it up. I'm using matte medium and pulling out pages from a book that I have found secondhand. I have used some of the images and I used the text pages as very cheap, but to me still very beautiful art material for making things like postcards or backgrounds for painting. So it's just my first layer to add a text paper or text page from a book, and you need quite a bit of glue so that it does not fall off in transit. I've actually received a postcard which had just the back side still, so I got the back side because it had my address, but the front with all the artwork and everything had fallen off. Someone had used a too dry glue stick, I think. But I do think that is a rare case of misgluing and I don't think that happens very often. And with experience, you learn to trust the glues and the process of making your own kind of art, I think. So, but if you're a beginner and you feel unsure of if it works, feel free to send yourself a test postcard in the mail and see how it looks when it arrives. If it works, and what happened to it in transit, like I said. So this is more like I work when I do postcards. I continue on doing a couple of them in the same manner, and I just wanted to continue on gluing a lot of postcard surfaces together so that I have a whole pile that I can use when I feel like continuing doing collage or painting. I really like this step because it gives my postcards a very mixed media look, which is something I love and appreciate both in my own art and in seeing what other people are doing. I'm using a brayer to make sure my papers bond together really well, and I think I'm really happy with how it looks so far. I will definitely be doing a lot more to each of my text paper postcards, but this is a good beginning, I think. And like I said, I'm not worried about the backside just yet. I will fix that when I'm done with all of them. For now, I'm just going to be adding a bit of gesso on top of the text and where the cardstock is peeking through on this postcard, where I used more of a torn look to my text. Of course, you don't have to use text if you want something else or another look. You could use fancy papers, you could use magazines, or maybe you have a colored cardstock that you really love the look of, and then you can just go in and do stamping or gluing magazine images on top of it, or doing a ephemera collage, or there's so many ideas. I can refer you back to my 100 postcard ideas if you feel stuck, but I don't think you will. There are so many possibilities and you can do anything you want to. This is what I had in my head. I brought out my napkin pile and decided to do some decoupage as my background for this postcard. It's still on my mind, even though it's a couple of months since I did a video showing how I made background papers using napkins and tissue paper, and I also did a lot of this kind of thing in my altered book, which is a series that I did back then. It's been a couple of months since I finished that series, and you can find it in my art journal playlist where I have many videos in case you're new here and you want to see more of what I've been up to. In my many notebooks and journals and mixed media adventures, I'm cutting out some squares and rectangles from my tissue paper that is just patterns. I love this kind of, I call it a patchwork collage, where it looks like there are just fabrics coming together in a little patch or block, as they say in quilting. And this just felt like they belonged together or could work together at least. It is very rare that I buy napkins to use at my table or in my craft room, but I love being gifted the one-off at a dinner party or being sent one in Happy Mail. So I think most of these in my piles are from that kind of collecting, random collecting. It's not me who bought them and decided I need this one. I've just, someone else has bought a pack and I grabbed the one I used and took it home and put it in a pile. And I've been doing this for years, so I have plenty. And I was feeling I don't use them enough. And maybe that is something you don't know about me, even though you've followed me for a long time. I do not like keeping materials in boxes that I do not grab or use very often. It's okay if I don't use them for 2 years and then I bring them out and use them a lot, but if 3 or 4 years passes and I still have the same amount that I had and I haven't used them or touched them, I feel really bad. So either I will start using them, like these napkins. They've been in a box for way too long, so I decided it's time I need to start using them, or I will have to give them or send them or throw them away. So that's a good measure of how much material you keep. My pile of napkins with pretty roses and cute patterns does not take up a lot of space, and they're no bother to keep, but still, anything that you have to always consider, if you're not grabbing them or bringing them out, why are you keeping them? Is there a day when you will use them? Why can't you get rid of them? Did you love them once and now they're not really your style? Could you give them away to a crafting friend? That's things that have been going through my mind lately. And if you have a great rule for what you keep in your stash, I would love to know. Let me know in the comments below. But back to what's at hand. I have cut out the bits I'm going to be using, poured up some more gel medium, matte medium actually, and I'm going to be covering my postcard surface with a little patchwork collage. I really love how napkins and tissue paper are this transparent thing that we can layer on top of other things, but these, they really shine. Some of these bits that I'm using here on this white surface where you can actually really see them. So that's why I'm not doing any painting or any other layers behind them. I just want them to get to shine. And I'm gluing first on the postcard and then on top of each of my napkin pieces to make sure that they stick down, that there are no air bubbles, and separating all the layers so that's just one napkin layer left, as you can see here. That makes it really thin and also even more transparent than it was in the beginning. I love this little basket. It is filled with roses, and that's just fitting since my postcards seem to have a pink flower theme already going for it. And that's not strange because that's the kind of napkins I've been seeing and gravitating towards keeping. And you can definitely tell here how transparent these are, because the bottom of that little basket just disappeared into the void that is that red pattern piece below it. And I think it looks a little bit strange, so maybe we can cover it up with something else now that all of the decoupage is done. I really like how it looks so far, but maybe a focal image like this little hair could work for our DIY postcard. I'm going to be fussy cutting him out and trying him onto the postcard to see if it looks good, but I'm already feeling that yes, I like it. He's from a book of animals, Swedish native animals, and I thought, why not use some other papers that I haven't been looking at for a while. I feel like that is the theme of all of my postcards recently that I have been making and filming, but mostly it's because I feel I'm not acquainted with any of my papers, because I've been feeling not as creative as I usually do, but I love this bunny here, or hair, and I wanted to add some text as well on this postcard, and maybe entirely handmade and 100% natural did not feel like something I wanted to send out to someone in Happy Meal, so maybe Flourish Again, which I found in the same magazine. It feels more positive and like something I could hope for anyone receiving this postcard. Let's flourish again. So I'm using my glue stick and adhering my collage on top of my decoupage, and with that I'm done. I'm really happy with my postcard. I just wanted to mention quickly that I have a DIY postcard swap on my blog, and you can sign up right now for it. It is international, it is quite big, you make 10 postcards and you sign up and read the rules on my blog, and you're more than welcome to check it out right now. I hope you do, and in any case, whether you sign up or not, I hope you make postcards to send, because I think all of us deserve a little happiness in the mail. Thank you so much for watching this video, giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't done that already, and maybe even checking out the swap. I will see you with a new postcard video really soon. Keep crafting. Bye for now.